Hi, my name is 𝒊𝒔𝒊𝒏𝒈, and this is Missing Midwest, a true crime podcast about those that have gone missing. Today's story is going to be a little different. Since it's Halloween week, we are here with a story about axe murders. This one will give you the creeps for sure. This is Missing Midwest, and someone knows something. Hello.
Hey.
Switching it up today.
I heard.
I'm coming at you with a Halloween episode.
This is the creepiest story. This is a weird thing.
I mean, it's a true story.
I know.
It's a true
it's not
murder
even a
story.
It's just a...
It's an oldie.
Given the missing Midwest fam a little bit of murdered Midwest.
Yeah, just because it's Halloween.
I get it. No, it makes sense.
It's a good story. And there's a lot of spook to it. So I thought
there's definitely some spook to it.
Yeah. So I figured we'd do something different.
All right. You're the boss. You get to make those decisions.
Yeah. So any announcements this week?
We are doing a giveaway in November.
Yes.
For our Murdered Midwest subscription.
Yep. We have a goal to get to 70 subscribers by the end of November. And if we do, we'll pick three of the subscribers, and give away some merch, some t-shirts.
Yep. Free t-shirts coming your way at the end of November. We believe this goal can be obtained. I think we're at 8, 9, 10, something like that right now. So, it's only a month old, but we have put out some good stuff. And if you're listening to this right now, you're less than a week away from a case that I'm super excited about doing in the Murdered Midwest.
Johnny's excited about 2 cases. So
that's right.
The last case. So you're listening to this on Saturday. So Monday, when Murdered Midwest comes out,
I got to play quarterback.
Going to be a little surprise. This is a weekend of change for us. Johnny did the case, so he took the lead on it, and I had to sit there and ask the questions. It was interesting, but it was good.
I can concede that Kayla is better at that than I am, but it was fun.
No, I thought it was good. I'm real fired up about that case.
Yeah,
it really annoyed me.
Yeah, terrible human being there. But no, this coming Friday, November 3rd, which is my birthday, which is also the podcasting class.
Yep.
We are going to be transitioning Murder Mondays to Murder Fridays, and so of this week, there's actually going to be 2 Murdered Midwest episodes, and on the 3rd, it's one of my all-time favorites. If you remember. Back in
he's been talking about this since we started.
The introduction episode, we talked about some of the favorite's a bad word, most intriguing maybe cases, and that's the O.J. Simpson case.
So Johnny's going to give us his view on the case and why he thinks O.J.'s innocent.
It's true. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I do not think O.J. killed that woman. He's sad.
He's going to try to convince y'all
that things went down the way they did, and I think OJ's a terrible person, but I do think that case was very, very interesting for a lot of reasons.
Are you doing that as a murdered case?
It will be a murdered case.
So only subscribers will be able to listen to it.
True.
So we'll be able to see if you have any people that like you, because if anybody subscribes right then, it'll be because they wanted to hear you talk about OJ.
Oof. It is my birthday. If you're feeling like you like me a little bit, we'd be glad to have you.
You know what's stressful? Buying and selling a house. Just over a year ago, we were in the middle of the process, and it was overwhelming. I am so thankful that we had someone like Amber to guide us through the process. She knew what to do and when to do it. You were so concerned about pricing and loans, and I was just concerned with the colors and the layout. Oh, you remember that?
Yes. Amber kept everything in mind, and we are in our dream house because of her. If you are looking to buy or sell in or around the Howard County area, you have to give Amber a call, or you can just give her a text, 765-865-1118.
You can follow her on Facebook at Amber White, Realtor/Broker with Carrie Gruhl and Associates. She posts the latest listings, giveaways, and even helpful home tips.
We are so grateful for Amber and all her help. All right, go ahead and tell the people about this crazy, creepy story, properly timed with Halloween, about Lizzie Borden.
Well, first of all, it is a true story. We are talking about Lizzie Borden today, the Lizzie Borden axe murders in Massachusetts. I love that. I want to go there really bad.
Which is not the Midwest, but it's Halloween, so
No,
we're
it's
giving.
not the Midwest.
Kayla gets all the passes, and she's pregnant, so she just.
I've just really wanted to do this case. It's interesting to me.
Okay.
And Halloween and.
You're the boss.
Like fun. Exactly. So we're going to Massachusetts. I've never been there. I want to go there, especially in the fall. We're going to Fall River, Massachusetts. Am I saying that right?
I love it when you say
Every time I say Massachusetts, I get very self-conscious about it and think I'm saying it wrong.
It's adorable. Say it again.
No. So the population there today is almost 94,000. They don't have any Dollar Generals in town. But
Wait a minute.
I think that's the first one we've done. That there's
No
none,
Dollar
in it.
Generals?
Listen, no, there are 2 on like the outskirts of town, so it's a fine. You can still go there and hit up the Dollar General.
Listen, maybe if they had a Dollar General, this case wouldn't be a case.
Well, I'm
Just
pretty
throwing that out
sure in this year in 1892 there was no Dollar Generals anyway. So
I'm just saying.
okay, so Lizzie Andrew Borden. She was born on July 19th, 1860 in Fall River, Massachusetts. We're starting in Fall River and we're ending in Fall River. Nothing ever left there. So Sarah Anthony Borden and Andrew Jackson Borden. Her dad grew up in very modest surroundings and struggled financially as a young man. Even though he was a descendant of very wealthy and influential residents who still lived locally, he grew up in with very meager means. However, Andrew eventually prospered into the manufacture and sale of furniture and caskets.
Attaboy, the grind.
And then he became a successful property developer. And he was the director of several textile mills, and he owned a bunch of commercial property. And he was the president of a local bank. He did well.
Wow, good for him.
He worked his way up. He made his way up there.
Came from nothing, turned it into something.
Yeah, so at his death, his estate was valued at $300,000, which would be $9.6 million in 2003.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Despite his wealth, he grew up poor, so he was very well known for being frugal. And so the Borden house, they didn't have any indoor plumbing.
Whoa.
And no indoor electricity, even though they had plenty of money to get that. He didn't do it. They still used oil lamps, stuff like that. Even though at this time those were common accommodations for wealthy people. And so this always was a little bit of a issue between him and his daughters. They were annoyed by it. They're we're wealthy. Why don't we have wealthy things? And his house was actually in an area that wasn't the most affluential area. There was an area called the Hill in Fall River, where most of the wealthy people lived, but they didn't live there. They lived out in the, I don't know if it was out in the boonies actually, but it just wasn't in that area.
Gotcha.
And so they were a little bit annoyed by that. The daughters, they always thought they needed more because they had more. And their cousins and their family lived over there too.
Oh man, yeah,
and
that's
so
rough.
it was, yeah.
That's rough.
So
A little bit of jealousy brewing up.
little brewing of the jealousy there. So Lizzie and her older sister, Emma Lenora Borden, had a relatively religious upbringing. They attended the Central Congregational Church, and when she was young, Lizzie was super involved in church. She taught Sunday school to the kids. She was involved in all of the church's organizations. She just was that was her thing. She really liked church and being a part of it. So 3 years after the death of Lizzie's mother, who died when Lizzie was just 2.5 years old when she died. But Andrew remarried 3 years later to a lady named a lady named 𝒊𝒔𝒆𝒌. Lizzie and Emma they weren't fans.
Didn't like their new stepmom.
Yeah, so they called her Mrs. Borden.
Whoa.
A little sting there. Abby believed that, Emma and Lizzie believed that Abby married their dad for his money.
They were like, joke's on you. He doesn't let us spend anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so Lizzie and Emma were not fans of the stepmom situation.
Gotcha.
Like I said, they only would call her Mrs. Borden.
Whoa.
So we're at August 4th, 1892. Tension was brewing in the Borden household, okay? In the months before the murders, Andrew had been giving a lot of gifts to family, different cousins and uncles and aunts and stuff, financial gifts or gifts of real estate. The girls did not like this because that was supposed to be their inheritance. So there's,
jealousy.
Their stepmom's sister received a house.
Whoa.
That really ticked him off. And they demanded from their dad that they receive a rental property in exchange. If you're going to give our stepmom's sister a house, we want a house.
Sure.
And so he did.
How old are they at this point?
So they're 20s.
Okay.
They lived with their parents later, later in life. So, Lizzie was born on, you want to do math, 1860, and we're at 1892.
So she's 32. She's my
Yeah.
age as of November 3rd when you all start your Murder Into Us subscription.
Yeah. Sure. So they purchased from their father these rental properties for $1 because they demanded it. A few weeks before the murders, though, they sold the property back to their father for $5,000 each, which would be they wanted the money, and so they demanded.
Dad, give me a house. Dad, buy this house.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's actually in 2023 that would have been the equivalent of $163,000. So it was $5,000, pretty penny.
I'm just imagining calling your dad and being like, "I want your lawnmower," and then the next week being like,
buy this lawnmower.
Buy this lawnmower off of me.
So the night before the murders, John Morse, which was Lizzie and Emma's maternal uncle, so their mom's brother, their mom had passed away, so their mom's brother, he came to visit, and he was invited to stay with them for a few days to discuss business matters with
great.
Andrew, the father. So there was speculation that there was some talks about property transfers and stuff like that, that may, and this probably agitated the already tense situation of their dad giving away their stuff.
Giving away more of our stuff, Dad.
Yeah. So it should be noted that for several days before the murders happened, the entire house got very, very sick. A family friend later speculated that there was meat left out and that they just had food poisoning. But Abby, she said that somebody had poisoned their family because Andrew was not a very popular man in Fall River. And so she had been saying poison to all of her friends and everything.
So, and the girls got poisoned too?
Yes.
Okay. So daughters and stepmom and dad are all poisoned.
Yes.
Yuck.
So, John Morse arrived on the evening of August 3rd, and he slept in the guest room that night. After breakfast the next morning, which Andrew, the dad, Abby, the stepmom, Lizzie, John Morse, and Maggie, which was the maid, they were all there for breakfast, okay? Emma was out of town visiting a friend, like in the next town over, not far away, but
complaining about her dad.
Probably. Andrew and Morse went to the sitting room. Andrew and John went to the sitting room where they chatted for like an hour-ish. And then John left around 8:48 a.m. to go buy a pair of oxen and to visit his niece in town in Fall River. And he was going to return home to the Borden house around noon for lunch. So he's just, leaving for the morning. Andrew left for his morning walk sometime after 9 a.m. The dad went for a morning walk. So Morse leaves. 10 minutes later, the dad goes on his morning walk. Cleaning was Emma and Lizzie's job, but for some reason, Abby went upstairs to the guest room that John had stayed in and started making up the bed. Sometime around between 9 and 10:30 that morning, she was in the upstairs guest bedroom, changing the sheets, making the bed up because they had a guest that night and he was going to stay again the following night. According to the investigation, Abby was facing her killer at the time of the attack. She was struck on the side of the head with a hatchet, which cut her just above the ear, causing her to whip around and fall face down on the floor, which then caused her nose and forehead to break. Her killer then struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more hits with the hatchet to the back of her head, killing her.
That'll do it.
Yeah, yikes. When Andrew got home from his morning walk, it was around 10:30 a.m., and his key, so there's some gruesome pictures online. Cody's going to put them on the YouTube channel, and we'll post some of them just because
yikes.
There's pictures of this crime scene. It's very strange. This case is so well known because
gruesome.
You can see pictures of the actual people laying there and their wounds and pictures of their skulls.
From 1892 or whatever you said.
And I'll tell you more about the house later, but it gets even more interesting than that. So anyway, when Andrew returned home, it was around 10:30 a.m. and his key would not open the back door for some reason. And so he knocked, and Maggie, the maid, she unlocked it. Well, she went to unlock it. It was jammed shut. And she muttered and was annoyed that this was happening. She later testified that she heard Lizzie laughing when this happened because her dad couldn't get in. She said she didn't see Lizzie, but she stated that the laughter was coming from the top of the stairs, which was where the bedroom was.
Big yikes.
This was considered significant as Abby was already dead at that time, and her body would have been visible to anyone that was on the second floor. And this was at Lizzie's laughter coming from the second floor because the bedroom was right at the top of the stairs. So Lizzie later denied being upstairs and testified that her father had asked her where Abby was, to which she told him that a messenger had delivered a note for Abby to come visit a sick friend. And so Maggie, the maid, said that she removed Andrew's boots for him and helped him into his slippers, and then he went to lay down on the sofa for a nap. This is actually a big contradiction because in the crime scene photos, you can see Andrew and he has his boots on, not off. Yep, there he is on the couch.
Big yikes.
Yes, at least they have the head part blurred out, but
Big yikes.
So she testified. The maid, Maggie, testified that she was in her third room floor, resting from cleaning the windows, when just before 11 a.m., she heard Lizzie call downstairs and said, "Maggie, come quick, father's dead. Someone has came inside and killed him." So she ran downstairs, where she saw Andrew slumped over on the couch in the downstairs sitting room, and he had been struck 11 to 10 times with a hatchet. One of his eyes had been completely split in two, suggesting that he had been asleep when he was attacked. His wounds were still bleeding. So, this had just happened.
Okay.
So, Lizzie told Maggie to run across the street to the Dr. Bowen, which was the family physician. He lived across the street. She said, "Run over and get him." He came over and he pronounced both victims dead. Detectives estimated that Andrew's death had occurred right around 11 a.m., which is when Lizzie called that somebody had killed their dad.
Yeah.
So Lizzie's initial answers to the police officers' questions were strange and weird and not consistent. Initially, she reported she heard a groan or a distress call before she came into the house because she was outside in the barn. And then 2 hours later, she told the police that she heard nothing, and she came inside the house, not realizing even that anything was wrong. When asked where her stepmother was, she said again, "Abby's not here." She received a note. I thought she was gone because she went to visit a sick friend, and she stated that she thought Abby had returned and asked if someone could go upstairs and look for her.
Lizzie asked, "Hey, can somebody go upstairs and look for my stepmom, please?"
So Maggie, the maid, and a neighbor, Mrs. Churchill, were halfway up the stairs. When their eyes became level with the floor, because it was right at the top of the stairs, as soon as they got halfway up the stairs and they could see above that first step, they could see Abby was laying face down dead.
Big yikes.
Most of the officers who interviewed Lizzie reportedly said they don't like her because they said she was really poised and calm, and her behavior kept changing, her alibi kept changing, and they didn't even check her for blood stains or anything. They searched her bedroom, but it was a simple look because at that time they didn't want to a woman's room, they didn't want to go searching through her underwear drawer.
My thing is, though, underwear in that time. You would be covered.
Yeah. So in the basement, when they were searching, police they admitted that they did not do a proper search of this farmhouse in the beginning, but in the basement they found 2 hatchets, 2 axes, 2 axes, and a hatchet head with a broken handle. The hatchet head was suspected of being the murder weapon because the handle was broken off, but also somebody had taken fresh ash and dirt and rubbed it all over it to make it look like it had been in the basement for a while. But they could tell it was purposefully put there. So none of those tools got removed from the house, though. Like I said, they really screwed up the search at the beginning.
Yeah, that probably did it. Well,
yeah. So since that mysterious illness had stricken the family before the murders, the family's milk was taken, and the victims' stomachs were removed during the autopsy, which was performed on the Borden dining room table.
Noted.
Yeah.
What?
Because they were tested for poison. No poison was ever found in their milk or in their stomachs. So a bunch of residents suspected. So Lizzie had actually been to the local pharmacist a couple days before the murders and had asked for hydrocyanic acid. Hydrocyanic, I think that's how you say it. And had asked for it, and when her defense were why did you want that? She said that it was because she was going to clean a fur coat, and that's the cleaner that you used, even though other people were like, no, you don't.
What a stupid answer.
Yeah, it didn't have any like antiseptic properties.
Hey, why do you have 45-gallon trash bags, rubber gloves, and a shovel? I'm trying to clean my fur coat.
Yeah. So Lizzie and Emma had a friend named Alice Russell, and she decided to spend the night with the sisters the night after the murders.
What?
And John Morse stayed in the guest room again, the guest room that Abby was murdered in. Yeah, I guess they just were like, oh, okay, well, night. Like, very weird. Police were stationed around the house that night, during which an officer said he saw Lizzie enter the cellar with Russell carrying a kerosene lamp and a slop pail. He said he saw both women exit the cellar, and then he saw Lizzie return one more time alone, though he was unable to see what she was doing, but it did appear that she was bent over the sink, which it would just be assumed they were cleaning up all the blood in the house, I guess. I mean, I guess that's what you call your friend. If you're going to clean up some blood, I would be calling my friend too. So on August 5th, John Morse left the Borden residence, and he was mobbed by hundreds of people, asking him what happened and all this stuff. The police had to escort him back to the house because he couldn't even leave. The following day, police conducted a more thorough search of the house. They went back inside, and this is when they started inspecting the clothing. They took the hatchet. The police, I guess the mayor even came to the house. And this is when Lizzie was informed that she was a suspect in the murders. The next morning, Russell went into the kitchen to find Borden tearing up a dress and burning it in the fire. She explained that she had accidentally brushed up against a wall of wet paint and that the dress was ruined.
Likely story.
Yeah. It was never determined if this was the dress she had been wearing the day of the murders.
I'm going to go ahead and determine that right quick.
Also, was it Allison Russell might not be like, I guess she's not the friend you call when you're trying to hide body. She testified that she was burning the dress. Like, come on. It must have not been that close.
I mean, if you thought somebody was that crazy, I'd be ready to testify. Get him away from me.
Not if it was Kristen.
Kristen gets Lizzie Borden crazy, I'm telling on her.
I'm going to say that her dress was covered in paint. Sorry.
Listen up. If you're a small business owner like myself, you understand the value of time. There is always something to be done, and it's up to you to do it. Your business is your baby, and you rarely can trust others with it. But what if I told you that I had somebody that you can trust, someone that can save you time and help your business grow? I do. With Bo Digital, you have access to an entire team that will be there for you with marketing and advertising. It doesn't matter what the size of your budget or your business is. Bo can help you take the stress of marketing off your plate and free up your time to do more of the things you love to do with your business. Bo is a marketing company and a business partner, but my favorite thing about them is that they have become true friends. You can find out more about them and what they offer at bodigital.com. Take it from me and put a bow on it.
So Lizzie appeared at an inquest hearing on August 8th, 4 days after the murder, and her request to have her family attorney present was refused because there was a state statute saying that an inquest had to be held in private. So she had been prescribed a dose of morphine to calm her nerves, and it's possible that this affected her testimony. I would say it probably is very possible it affected her testimony because nobody just gets morphine and acts normal, but her behavior was super erratic. She refused to answer questions. She contradicted herself. She gave a bunch of different accounts of the morning. One time she said she was in the kitchen reading when her dad got home, and then she said she was in the dining room ironing, and then she said she was coming down the stairs when he got home. So just like all these stories that were conflicting, and it just didn't look very good. But the attorney was very aggressive and confrontational with it too, so she was just very overwhelmed. On August 11th, Lizzie was served with a warrant of arrest and put in jail. Her trial took place in New Bedford starting on June 5th, 1893. So I don't know if she was in jail from August 11th to June 5th. I don't know. I'm assuming she could bail
I mean,
out.
they had all the bail money in the world, sounds like.
So 5 days before the trial's commencement on June 1st, another axe murder occurred in Fall River.
Whoa.
This time, the victim was a lady named Bertha Manchester, and she was found killed, hit to death with an axe. The similarities between the two were very, very similar.
Yeah.
And the jurors noted this. However, a man named Jose Correro de Melio, a Portuguese immigrant, was later convicted of Manchester's murder. And he was determined to not have been in the vicinity of Fall River at the time of the Borden murders. However, the jury had that in the back of their mind that there was another murder.
Sure, yeah.
So, A big point of discussion in this trial, and the thing that the press covered a lot, was that the hatchet head found in the basement was not like demonstrated by the prosecution to be the murder weapon. They argued that the killer had removed the handle because it would have been covered in blood. So one officer testified that a hatchet handle was found near the hatchet head, but another officer contradicted this. So
they just took out the murder weapon altogether.
No. Yeah. There was no bloody clothing found at the scene. Russell, the friend, testified again that she had witnessed Lizzie burning a dress in the kitchen stove because it was covered in wet paint. The defense never even attempted to challenge that in the trial.
Okay, what'd you paint?
Yeah, they didn't even ask about it.
Wild.
Lizzie's presence at the home at all was a point of dispute in the trial because, according to testimony, Maggie, the maid, entered the second floor at around 10:58 a.m. and left Lizzie and her dad downstairs. Lizzie told several people at this time that she went out to the barn and was not even in the house for 20 minutes, possibly half an hour. Hyman Lubinsky testified for the defense that he saw Lizzie leaving the barn at 11:03, which the dad was killed at like 11. And Charles Gardner confirmed this as well. He saw Lizzie leaving the barn around 11, saying that she wasn't even in the house.
I'm confused now.
These are two guys that were...
Trying not to get cut up by an axe.
No. Honestly, it didn't say what they were. I think they were like neighbors or just going by the house or something. I'm not sure. But those are two people that said, that she was in the barn. She was walking to the house around 11:03. And this is a very little timeline. I mean, it was like 11:10 a.m. was when Lizzie called Maggie downstairs. And they said she was the dad was killed at 11. So, yeah, I mean, if you go by that, 11:03, she wasn't in the house. She came in right after he died. So both victims' heads had been removed during the autopsy, and the skulls were admitted as evidence during the trial. Wow. Which is strange. When
Pretty
Lizzie
messed up.
saw them in the courtroom, she fainted, completely passed out when they were like, here are your dad's skull and your stepmom's.
I mean, I feel like I wouldn't have a good reaction to that either.
Right. The presiding associate justice, which was named Justin Dewey, he gave a very long summary that supported the defense as his charge to the jury before it was sent to deliberation. After an hour and a half of deliberation, the jury acquitted Lizzie Borden of the murders, and upon exiting the courthouse, she told reporters that she was the happiest woman in the world.
Tell me more.
I mean, although she was acquitted, she remained the prime suspect in town of her husband, her dad and her stepmother's murders.
How far did Maggie, the housemaid, run away from this house?
Right.
After testifying against her.
Couple theories here. Some people say that John Morse, the uncle, was suspect. He rarely met with the family after his sister died, but he was in the house that night. According to law enforcement, he gave a perfect, over-detailed alibi for where he was. So he was considered a suspect for a hot second. William Borden, a man named William Borden, was suspected to be Andrew's illegitimate son and was noted as a possible suspect, saying that he was trying to extort money from his alleged father and he failed. This was disproven eventually. Emma Borden, the sister, she was suspected for a second too. She had an alibi that she was about 15 miles away in Fairhaven visiting a friend. But some people speculated that she might have secretly visited, came back, tried to kill her parents, and then went back to Fairhaven and waited on a telegram to tell her about her parents' murders. That was disproven. There was another one that said that Maggie and Lizzie did it together because they were secret lesbian lovers, and Abby had caught them together and reacted poorly, and so they tried to tell the dad, and so that was one. But Maggie left and got married to a man, and Lizzie never remarried, so that was kind of disproven. Yeah, but other than that, everyone just said Lizzie did it, said she snapped.
I mean,
she was mad that...
It's crazy to me that we're back in 1892, and that's as deep as it got, and they were just like, yep, there's an axe murderer out there. Sorry, guys, we couldn't find her.
Yeah, I mean...
Lizzie never chopped anybody else up?
So after the trial, Lizzie and Emma moved into a large, modern house in the area that they wanted to live in, right in Fall River, same town, over on the side where the wealthy
the
people
floor
live, though.
plan of this house, like, no, it's in 1890. Like, this doesn't look like a crappy house.
No, it wasn't. It
Like,
just didn't have plumbing and electric, and they didn't
I
get the
feel
stuff
you
they
on that.
wanted.
I'd want that, but
So they moved across town to this place that they wanted to be anyway. Lizzie began using the name Lisbeth in their new house because she, wasn't super liked because everyone thought, you're an axe murderer. She named the new house Maplecroft, and they had a full staff with live-in maids, a housekeeper, a coachman. Since it was ruled that she died before Andrew, her estate transferred to Andrew, and then at Andrew's death, he passed his estate to his daughters. So they got hers and his.
wow.
And despite the acquittal, Lizzie was, like I said, pretty much ostracized by Fall River. In 1905, shortly after an argument over a party that Lisbeth had given, Emma moved out of the house and never saw or spoke to her sister again.
Wow.
They got mad at each other.
After having the dream house, that's a huge
It's
house.
a beautiful, huge house, yeah. So Lizzie got sick after having her gallbladder removed, and she died of pneumonia on June 1st, 1927, at the age of 66. Funeral details were published in the local press, but not nobody came. Emma died from chronic nephritis in a nursing home 9 days later. She was in Newmarket, New Hampshire. She moved to this location in 1923 after the fight for health reasons and because there was another book. This case has so many books and movies and stuff. Another book came out about the family murders, and so she was going to go hide and live over there in a nursing home because she didn't want any more attention on it. Neither of them ever got married. They were buried side by side in a family plot in Oak Grove Cemetery. At the time of her death, Lizzie was worth over $250,000, which would be $5.6 million today. She owned a house on the corner of French Street and Belmont Street, several office buildings, several shares in utilities, had 2 cars, and a large amount of jewelry. She left $30,000 to the Fall, which would be $678 today, $1,000 to the Fall River Animal Rescue, $500, which would be $11,000 today, in a trust for care for her father's grave, because she cared for her father's grave for her whole life and she wanted to make sure that was taken care of. And then her closest friend and cousin each received $6,000, which would be $136,000
I'm surprised
today.
she gave anything to her family because she was not about that.
And then they said substantial sums of the estate were divided between numerous friends and family members.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the interesting part here. This is some spooky stuff about the Lizzie Borden case. So you have this crazy axe murder take place in this house, and it ends up being this crazy story that ends up being the basis of a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of movie plots and books and people writing about it and visiting the site, and for some reason, this one murder is the one that you can literally, their skulls are on display. You can see the crime scene pictures. But the craziest thing is, this is so cringy, the house that the murders were taking place in is a bed and breakfast.
Wait a minute.
The Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast. And it is the exact same. I actually have the website right here. We're gonna go. Oh, we're going, and I'm gonna show you this because I just have to read.
You know what we should do on vacation? Go stay in a room where somebody was murdered.
You're gonna love this. Okay.
What?
What? This is straight from. That's the couch. These are pictures that y'all are seeing. Cody's gonna put them on the YouTube channel, and you can see. But you can go and stay at the Lizzie Borden house. I can't even say it because it's so cringy. This is straight from the website. It says, "Welcome to the location of America's greatest unsolved murder mystery, which took place on August 4th, 1892. The Lizzie Borden house means many things to many people, from a historic gem to the most haunted house in the United States. Today, the property remains open daily from 10 a.m. to midnight, operating as an inn with breakfast as well as a museum, featuring a variety of tours and experiences throughout the day and evening, including historic house tours, and ghost hunts." And then there's a whole bunch of more stuff. That's
creepy as heck, man.
So
no,
listen,
absolutely not. Am I doing this?
You can stay in the Morse murder room. There's people, posing as the bodies. You can stay in Andrew and Abby's room. You can stay in the Morse guest room where Abby's body was found. The house. Wow, y'all. pregnancy ring. The couch downstairs where the dad was killed. You can, I can't even, you guys. So when you book the house, so you can book that. Well, this could be fun. You can book the house privately, and you and 20 of your closest friends and family can stay there for the night. All of you together. It has 8 beds and 6 bedrooms. You can also,
But they were upset that they didn't
for
have
an
their
extra
house.
$30, you can add a bloody axe that will be on your pillow at night.
People.
The
People.
silence. Yeah. Yeah.
Have they put in indoor plumbing?
There is indoor plumbing. There are bathrooms in there now. It'll run you about $275 to $350 per night, depending on which room you pick, obviously. Yeah, you can shop. There's a gift shop. There's a Lizzie Borden game. There's an official hatchet you can buy.
Gross. People. I'm judging all
You
of
can
you.
go visit the Oak Grove Cemetery where you can see Lizzie and her sister's graves. You can go to the basement. It's apparently extremely haunted, and there's just out there. You can stay in the basement.
That's
where they
enough for
found,
me,
yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
So, like, to recap, 2 people were brutally murdered with an axe. And then they were just like, we think Lizzie did it. And then they got her off. And then they were like,
Yep.
either she's free in an axe murder or we're not getting the other one. like he's just no convictions.
Oh, no.
What?
I just found a tab that says weddings.
You can get married there?
The Lizzie Borden house hosts many weddings every year. Whether you'd like your ceremony in the house or on the grounds outside, we're happy to be your venue to tie the knot. Not only can we be a fun place to get married, but we can be a fun place to celebrate afterward with food, drinks, music, and games. Yikes.
Well, if you need your flowers for your Lizzie Borden wedding, Jefferson House of Flowers, great place here in
Listen, I
Kokomo.
do weddings all the time. I'm a florist. However, I have never... Wow, I'm just kind of speechless here. Please note, we receive many wedding requests and spaces fill up quickly. Who is requesting to be married here?
And why?
Show yourselves and tell me why you are wanting to get married at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast. Yikes. So just go to this website,
That's enough for me.
Lizzie-Borden.com,
I'm going to
because
stick to my fantasy football websites.
there's house tours, and ghost hunts. And they've kept all the decor the same, and you can see their true crime scene photos, so it's all there. It's great reviews on here. I mean, there's a Lizzie Borden bobblehead. She's holding an axe.
Good grief.
It keeps getting worse.
Good grief.
You can buy a vial of brick dust that is actual brick dust from that house.
What?
T-shirts, the official Lizzie hatchet. That's direct quote, y'all. Official Lizzie hatchet. There's a happy couple. There's a happy couple that got married. They have a whole, we're talking white dress, black tux, bridal party. Yeah, they did the thing right there. Is she holding a hatchet, or are those flowers?
That's a hatchet. That's a hatchet in their wedding.
You can get mugs, the games.
Can I go home?
The pins. Can you go home? Well, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday. It's going to be this official Lizzie Borden baseball cap.
I just want a subscription to Murder Midwest.
Yeah, they have newspaper clippings. Oh my gosh, brick dust earrings. It's the actual brick dust from the house, and they're these little vials that you can put on there. Christmas ornaments, a tumbler, axe earrings. I survived.
Are you working for them right now? Like,
think
gee
so.
whiz, you're just like...
I'm just looking through. There's a Lizzie Borden teddy bear that's holding an
For
axe.
Halloween, we're just going to give a little artifact from the Borden house and everybody's... Why do I have brick dust?
I'm just shocked.
I got an axe.
I'm just shocked.
See how this
at
plays out.
all of the, they have it all.
Nobody give
They've definitely
either of our kids an axe.
They definitely have capitalized on this whole Lizzie Borden thing.
That's messed up.
It's very interesting. So, like I said, it is a huge, huge thing now.
The song.
The jump rope song. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
Big
That
yikes.
comes from this story. Like, you've probably
Big
heard that. It
yikes.
comes from this story.
So
Like I
all the
said,
townspeople were just like, yeah, Lizzie Borden did it. Like that was the town rumors?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Lizzie Borden did it. She was mad that her dad wouldn't give her money. Her and her sister were very close. She was fed up with the fact her dad got married. She didn't like the stepmom, and she just, decided that was the way to go.
Poison didn't work. Let's get the axe.
I don't think she poisoned him.
I mean, I'm not saying she did. Little video on our YouTube channel of the Borden house. Cody's got it dialed up for us.
Yeah.
Big yikes.
Yikes.
Big yikes. That's a no for me, dog. I'm not
I'm
taking.
not judging you if you went to the Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast.
I'm judging.
I'm just not going with you.
Cody's judging too. He's nodding his head. He judges.
Morbid. I love Morbid podcast. They did a live episode from the Lizzie Borden house. But they are super into spooky ghost stuff. I'm not a super spook person into ghosts.
Me neither.
I like a good true crime. This is a good true crime story.
Yeah.
But I draw the line at the bed and breakfast and the sleeping and
that's a no for me.
I don't think Lizzie's ghost is there. I think she's pretty content with her life. I mean, she lived the best life after that. So.
Well, I hope your Halloween is much better than that of Andrew and Abby Borden's.
Shouldn't be too hard.
I hope you avoid anybody that ever reminds you even a little bit of Lizzie Borden.
And I hope you don't buy a Lizzie Borden.
I hope you
bobblehead.
choose a better wedding venue than the Borden house. I suggest,
Maybe
Jefferson
you
House
could
of Flowers.
Maybe you could buy the Lizzie Borden bobblehead, but just don't get married there.
Dude, I'm going to stay away from that too.
All
Goodness.
right.
All right, guys.
Well, have a happy
We'll be
Halloween.
back
Have a good
to
week.
our normal Missing Midwest episodes next week. Decided to have a little fun with Halloween. But yeah.
Stay safe. Have a good week.
Enjoy and avoid Borden's. That's weird. I'm shook from the case.
You gonna be okay?
I guess.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, gave her father 41.
This podcast is a So.Will.I.Studos production. So will I.